So the way I think about gems is I kind of do this two tiered process where I create, as we've discussed before, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll create first principles, and I have a first principle builder. It's just on the other drive, so I haven't added it yet, but it's kind of where I start when I'm thinking about building like a gem or any sort of like a pre prototype slash agentic kind of activity. And the reason that I do that is it's for two reasons. One is to sort of cut through all the noise that's out there about any sort of marketing activity or anything that you're going to do for the for the AI tool that I'm using, in this case Gemini, right? Because remember,
Okay.
in a lot of ways what they're doing is they're aggregating information from all different kinds of sources, and then they're they're kind of pureeing it, like they blend it all together, and then that's what spits out generically from you know these tools.
Right.
So what you want to do is sort of bring back the focus on what you're trying to essentially do, right? So there's kind of that. And then the other thing that you're trying to do is refresh your own memory as to what the hell it is we're trying to do. So that kind of just provides guidance. So I dump that, I usually pour that into the gem, or the prototype for the gem. So I don't go straight to the gem. What I do is I create a chat where I ask it, I ask the Frontier, LLM to create the prompt, right?
Okay.
So then I take that prompt, in this case, the content pillar, and I use that to create the gem.
Okay.
So you got to go back in to build the gem. You need to go to explore gems and then select new gem, and then just drop that in there.
Uh, um,
And then if I'm uh using, like, if I'm doing, like, in this case I was building these prompts and these gems to illustrate concepts for people in our newsletter that's going out today, right? The or I guess, yeah, tonight, let's say. um the idea is, so what I do is I add in existing knowledge that has relevancy to what I'm doing, right? So in this case, I'm adding from Drive documents that we've already created that were the output of other prompts, like research, uh, existing examples, that sort of thing that we've done for other clients, right? So you're always sort of taking some of the previous work that you've done and using that to build the prompt. And in a way, it's sort of like, those soup recipes that have been going on for 100 years. It's like that. You're always kind of taking some from the source and kind of putting it back in, and then the idea is just to continually improve it. And the way that you improve that is by editing, right?
mm,
So
understand.
okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you, like, I'm just going to save this off, um, just to give you an example, and I'll show you how to save it. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to toggle back to the actual prompt construction and tell you kind of what's good and maybe what's not so good about it, so we can sort of continue to expand our knowledge.
Okay,
So
sir.
instead of starting chat, I just go into share. And then what I've been doing, Jervy, is I've just been adding you specifically as an editor. But again, as discussed, I kind of prefer that you know you don't change anything unless we have a good reason to. And then so if you do that, so you've got two ways you could go. You can either share it publicly or you can share it internally. So I start with sharing it internally, and then I just kind of go back and do the public sharing. If you share it publicly and there are documents that are referenced inside the prompt, you get a dialog box that calls your attention to it. I don't worry about it, because basically what I'm doing by sharing these publicly, I'm using that as an example, right? Because obviously we have our own like the beauty of the gem is you can give it specific knowledge, and the smarter that context is, the easier the prompts go at the end of the day. So that's kind of how I build the prompt. And then of course, that probably shows up when you go into Gemini and go look at that feed. But conversely, it would also probably show up, here in these gems where you can see them. So you can see it in Drive, right? And then you can also see it if you tackle it this direction, right? Or you could just put a link up there. So either way. So you won't see when you get to Gemini, it just gives you this just clean prompt. So if you want to go got to mouse over, go to this, and then go to explore gems. So let me just go back to sort of this why so this prompt actually folds in. I use the kind of first principles for building content pillars. I had that handy, so I went ahead and did that. So it kind of gives you the structure of what you're trying to do. The problem statement, to my mind, is pretty key. Like, build a structured content pillar strategy. It translates core business expertise into an actual roadmap, blah, 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 blah. Right. And then what you need to feed that, right? Company description, target audience, business goals, core areas of expertise, number of pillars. And then I think 4 is the right number for content pillars, to be honest with you. And then usually I just use internal documentation we've already built that kind of gives you this, right? But before you can do content pillars, obviously what would precede that is industry research, audience research, audience personas, the core value proposition for the company, what you do, which is usually just a link to the website. And then again, you just sort of get this output. And then it sort of it constructs this output model, which is pretty comprehensive. And I didn't really have to massage. This is what I got back, and I just felt like it's fine. And then it just kind of gives you kind of what you want from the result. If there are any rules, we always do. I think probably we want to add that these just have a check your work component. Although it's not baked into this, but it's easy enough to just do splice that into all the gems. So the good thing about the gem is when you're testing the prompts, like if you get an output you don't like, you can just basically go back in the gem instruction and say, do this, right? And the way the gem prompt works is it kind of lies under what you're actually doing. So you've got this kind of foundational thing that you can work with that sort of takes whatever you're specifically trying to do. And generally this will be specific for, we're building it for clients, right? Say, hey, do it for them. Right. Look at all this other stuff, reference this, and then do that for our customers. And then what this does, the nice thing about having the first principles approach is it sort of takes and deconstructs this sort of standard, idea of what people think a thing is about, right? The content strategy, et cetera, and then rebuilds it with kind of a clear approach, right? So this model creates a clear direct cause and effect link between business goals and image pieces, blah, blah, blah. So, create cognitive anchoring, making the brand memorable, social proof accumulations. So it kind of gets in there. It's a little jargony, but it's still workable. And, this has yet to be tweaked.
Sure.
Okay. So that's kind of that.